If I didn't make this clear, this is not a Christian channel. This is not a religious channel, although I guess that could depend on what you really consider the word religious to mean. Maybe more so because of like the type of spaces that I sometimes comment in when my comments aren't deleted by YouTube, like they've been doing to me since I was, 10. People like may think that that's what this channel is gonna be, but this isn't like some, research channel. And like I'm talking about things that I've noticed, not even really about like me sitting around watching like videos or reading stuff. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. As far as a lot of the MK Ultra stuff, I haven't researched that stuff in a very, very long time. Because from like 6, more so 7 to I would say 11 or 12, researching that stuff, I kind of didn't really need too much anymore. And it's like I had so much of my own experiences and the experiences of people around me to where I could just connect the dots. And also after a while, not that I like the term conspiracy, because that's the bullcrap term, but I'm going to say what this boy had told me, which is something I agree with and had also started doing a couple years ago. A few years before I met him. And he was like, I don't even watch quote-unquote conspiracy type stuff anymore. I just try to watch stuff to focus on fixing my issues. And that's the same way I feel. And I know some people will be like, well, people are like complimenting you because they think that you're a smart kid and all that. One, a lot of comments and compliments that people give is really like sidesteppy. It's kind of like halfway compliment, halfway not. And that's great and all, but I don't really care about the whole being told I'm smart for my age or wise for all that. And I know people are gonna feel some type of way about that maybe, but it's like, I don't think people get that. I don't even really believe in all that whole smart stuff and all that. That's not even the point. It's like so many people are just sitting around talking about things. They think that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get people to understand why we need to save ourselves and each other. I'm also just talking about day-to-day life and child abuse. This isn't like, I just don't really care for that. I know it's probably going to sound like rude to some people, like I can't take a compliment, but it's not that I can't take a compliment or that I don't care about the quote-unquote compliments. It's just that I really think people should focus on real issues. Like, this isn't one of those usual channels where I'm just like trying to expose something. As I always say, there's nothing to expose. Everybody already knows everything that's happening to their next door neighbor, themselves, and the people in their own family and what they're doing to people themselves. I don't need to expose anything. This isn't some, mainstream Christianity truther channel. And I'm not trying to like bash people who are in those, although the foundations of Protestant and the false history and the flipped around stuff they're taught is all bullcrap. But I'm not trying to bash people who are doing that. Not that I really care, I guess if the shoe fits, but I just want people to understand that that's not what this is about. Like, I don't think anybody's here from the evidence channels, I always say that, but if you saw my abuse evidence channels, which is what this channel started off from, you would get what this channel is really about. And, well, now you probably still feel like I'm just talking because I'm traumatized. But you just get that, like, this isn't what some people who are coming here thinking this is about. Channel where I talk about real everyday life and just real stuff that's happening to people. And I already know that like the people that are really in the not know are just there in la la land or the perpetrators themselves. Of course they're going to consider all this stuff crazy stuff, or they'll just do the whole you're just a mentally ill homeless child who needs therapy or whatever in the world, but all that stuff is irrelevant. I'm not making these videos for people to like kumbaya or any of that. And the point is, like, one of the things that makes me feel some type of way about it the most is that people are missing the point. People either do the thing that people who are cognitive dissonance filled or just the perpetrators themselves usually do, where they're like, oh, well, that's just you, and you just need to stop projecting your issues. Most of the things I talk about on here have never happened to me, but that's not even the point. I've never really been fond of people taking a serious global worldwide issue and making it about me. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to minimize people's realities in the world and throw them to the curb and act like they don't matter by acting like, oh, it's just only happened to me, like I'm the only person on the planet or something. And that really annoys me. But yeah, I hate when people act like I'm the only person on the planet or I'm the only person that anything bad has ever happened to, just to try to discredit people's realities in everyday life that goes on in the world that I talk about. Especially when I'm talking about something that didn't even happen to me. It's just all really, really annoying, but this channel isn't even for those people. One of the comments that I showed the most because a couple minutes ago, I was going through my YouTube studio to look for this one comment. I don't know if the lady deleted it herself right after she put it up, or if YouTube did. This was a little while ago, but she made the comment that was under my 10 must-haves if you're a runaway under 18 or homeless or something like that video, and she was like, oh, I get it now. Something, 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 you're bitter and angry. Something about me being a teen with no guidance. My life's been hard enough, my online presence isn't going to help it. I mean, I think people forget that's kind of the point. The point, kind of like the whole LT Corbis thing. That's why I related so much to LT Corbis, or that's one reason why. People get really, really mad when you're telling the truth. But I also can see the differences in how somebody's treated for telling the truth when they're like different ethnic groups or quote-unquote races and just different situations, different income brackets. Bad family system versus good family system. Like for me, since I'm dark-skinned or melanated, I'm going to get labeled off as schizo or whatever other label. Somebody like LT Corbis will bare minimum be labeled off as a conservative or just being bad or disruptive. But the point of telling the truth, if you're really about it, is to have people be mad at you and eventually unalive you. LT Corbis had a walkout done to get her kicked out of the school in San Francisco. The police came to her house. A whole bunch of stuff happened. Stuff that I haven't seen happen to anybody till years later, like during the whole quote-unquote insurrection thing. Like, for example, Adam Bies. The government smashed his house in with a tank behind things he said about him being pro-Trump. LT Corbis was hated because she was smart and she was young, and people are so used to everybody being brainwashed, they feel like, oh, if a kid is saying this, they must have somebody in their ear using them, because people can't think for themselves. Also, LT Corbis was assaulted at school for her videos. Parents were mad about her videos because she was quote-unquote vulgar. It's what happens when you're smart. Not that I necessarily like that term because it's another term that can be used in whatever way people want it to be used, but she was, though. And the same liberal kids who made fun of her and called her a lesbian are the same ones that got her banned off of every social media and kicked out of school for being quote-unquote H0M0 phobic. Anywho, she was definitely mad about a comment I left. I think I mentioned that in like the audio that I recorded days ago that's after this one, or will be after this one. Yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, I was looking for that other comment she left about the whole being bitter thing. Then I found more comments from Our Savior dude. And somebody did tell me they feel like there's misunderstandings on both ends. And I mean, I don't even really think it's about that. If people come here thinking it's going to be a Christian channel with mainstream Christian views, even though I don't consider myself a Christian whatsoever. And then when I find out that this channel it's not even like about really any mainstream Christian anything. But people think it's going to be, but then when they hear me like mention the Catholic Church stuff or Caesar Borgia, probably true Yasharil, Babylon falling and becoming the hyper-surveillance NAZIS nation it already always has been, but will get way worse. One of the things that this dude was mad about was when, I think in the Candace Owens, I'm scared of the kids these days, etc. title video, I said something about how everything is a cult, and somebody was talking to me one day, and they were like, everything's a cult, and I totally agree with it, because I mean, I had been realized that. And then of course that person felt some type of way because they're so programmed to the religious stuff, they automatically even assumed that I was even talking about Christianity or Catholicism. But that's not even really what I was thinking about when I was even saying that. Although those are religious cults and religion is the New World Order. And the fact that they flipped out about that, even though everything really is a cult, society is a cult, school is a cult, being expected to do the usual Matrix stuff of the whole family, house, car, American dream thing that was never true anyways, all that is a cult. Pagan Roman Catholicism, the European Protestant hijacking, and all their bullcrap holidays, and switched Sabbath day, all the stuff that they did, all that is a cult. But I wasn't even really thinking about the religious side when I said that. I was thinking about more so just how society is set up in general. And of course they felt some type of way about that because in their mind, I gotta let this person know that religion is good, and that if they're not believing in God how they should be, pretty much. In fact, no, I'm remembering it now because I wrote some more notes for this. In that same Can Is Someone Scared of Kids These Days, etc. video, I also mentioned how I was going to make a video about how the point of religion, which is the NWO, and it's also the false doctrines, wheats and tares, and other Jesuses that people follow, that Jesus and Paul and other people warned about, and also the stuff with the Sadducees and the Pharisees. But anyways, I mentioned how the point of religion was to make people hate God, and how I was going to make a video about that. And this same person also had left a comment somewhere about how something young man, I think, because they thought I was a dude, but a lot of people do, so I don't find it like offensive. Especially in person, more people do. But anywho, they just went on this little talk about how religion is it's not bad, and how they don't know what I believe, and how they're hoping for my salvation. Kind of reminiscent of a similar situation with this Let Me Help You Lunatic lady that stole all my stuff like a couple days ago, but that's a whole nother video. But it's like, okay, I guess they can pray for my salvation and that I'd find quote unquote God then. I don't know. Even though this isn't even a Christian channel anyways, and I never, it's like, I guess just because the stuff that I comment on, or people will say that they're Christian, or at least they say that they believe in the Bible and God and all that, which I'm not really into the ineffable name doctrine. They say they believe in Yahweh or Jesus or whatever. And so I guess people see my comments, whatever they are, when they're not deleted, and then they sometimes every now and then come here. Then there's still that racist Christian dude who totally edited his comment weeks and weeks and weeks after to try to like polish it up. It's still bullcrap. It still shows that he's a usual European racist Christian who's into pederasty. I can't remember if he deleted this part or edited this part out or not. But I remember in the original comment he said that I was just reading satanic propaganda, and it's like, well, I mean, the book isn't satanic propaganda. The book is about somebody's actual life who ran away at 13 or whatever in the world. 14, can't really remember. And it also mentions Santa Cruz, which I brought that up because I spent a good few years after running in Santa Cruz, and now I've came back to the East Coast. But anywho, he said that, but it's like, I mean, you're taking up for pederasty, and about how somebody who's 50 dating a 19-year-old, dating people their kids' age, is okay. So it's like, I mean, obviously you see nothing wrong with the book anyway, so how do you even call it satanic propaganda? Then these people wonder why I talk about the real deal stuff, like the whole thing about how religion, the point of religion is to make people hate God or hate Yahweh, or who they think Yahweh is supposed to be based off like the man-made doctrines. And it's like, these are the types of people that make people who really don't know any better hate the Creator and think that this is what the Creator is about, pederasty and racism. In the original comment, he was like, the Bible does say there's 3 races of people, which I don't even really remember exactly why that came up, especially because he commented under the video about the video I made titled Age Gap Dating for Orphans Advice, whatever in the world the title is. Maybe I did mention something racial in there. I don't even really remember. And he did the whole, yeah, the Bible does say there's 3 races, and the 3 races are Mongoloid, Negroid, and Caucasoid. And he acted like he was telling me something. He was telling me something that I already know. And actually, no, the Bible didn't say any of that. White people said that, or more so, because I don't even like the term quote-unquote white or quote-unquote black. Caucasian Europeans said Negroid, Mongoloid, and Caucasoid, which honestly I agree with. The Bible talked about the 3 sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which did not come out Caucasoid, Negroid, and Mongoloid right then and there. In the beginning, I mean, people were Negroid, and then people started to look different and change over time, which to a certain extent the racial theory of evolution kind of does point to that. Of course, would it swap with that? But in their eyes, people started off as monkeys, and then they were dark skinned, and then they started to look Asian, and then when the Caucasian man came, not even the woman, the Caucasian man, that was missing, like in the first human, and people finally, well, beings finally evolved to become the first human, which was the Caucasian man in their eyes. So the theory of evolution does have its own flip to it, but it does admit that the first people were Negroid. But yeah, the whole Shem, Ham, and Japheth thing actually had nothing to do with race, because everybody came from the same 2 Negroids, Adam and Eve, with the help of the mitochondrial Eve gene. And people just started to look different over time, and the different ethnicities came up due to mixing and stuff, and just varying genetics also mixing with the fallen. But actually, no, the Bible didn't say there was 3 races. In fact, as you can see, even though real Yasharel are Negroid, in fact, specifically the Negro, which is different from Negroid, there's many different types of Negroids, but the Negro is one specific ethnicity of Negroids. And so, anywho, true Yasharel were Negroids, but they weren't supposed to mix with the Egyptians, who were also Negroid. Specifically, a lot of them were Cushite, one-ether/straight-hair Negroids, such as like Eritreans and some Ethiopians and stuff. And the reason they weren't supposed to mix was because they had a different faith, and they were a different ethnic group, and all the other ethnic groups were pagans, and they didn't worship the true creator of the universe, Yahweh. But of course, in the pagan Roman Catholic and Protestant European hijackings, they weren't supposed to mix with Egyptians because the Egyptians were black, quote unquote. And it's weird because the same Caucasian Europeans running around Africa pretending to be the people that say that they're the true people of the Bible, even though they don't even believe in the Bible or believe in God, they're the same Europeans running around claiming to be the Egyptians. So it's all really weird. But anywho, the Bible never actually said there were 3 different races of people. But I already knew about the whole Negroid, Mongoloid, Caucasoid thing. He was just telling me a lot of stuff that I already know to try to push some racial stuff. Maybe I mentioned something about the Caesar Borgia thing and he just flipped out. But that's why I gotta keep telling people, this is not a Christian channel. I don't even know how people I don't get how people could even really sit here and watch the videos that I make and think that it's even supposed to be some mainstream Christian channel. I don't know. I don't even know how to put it, because it's not that I don't believe the Bible, but I'm not a Christian. I just don't really get how people even get that out of any of the things that I talk about on a daily basis. I'm pretty sure most people just see me as a crazy, traumatized kid or something. And then some people come here for full-on white supremacist debates and stuff, and it's no. One of the first things that somebody in mainstream Christianity would probably come to me with is 1, you're a quote-unquote child. 2, you're a female. 3, you're not honoring or respecting your parents because you're not living with them. 4, you're talking about, I don't really talk about that stuff that much, but you mention things that happen to you and you're supposed to forgive and forget and act like everything's okay, and what's also happening to other people is okay because that's their parents. and they're supposed to honor them. It's just so many issues that a mainstream religious person would have with everything I talk about. And then they could also throw in the fact that, or throw in the insults that anybody would throw in, religious or not, which is that, well, in my opinion, you're just a mentally ill, traumatized, homeless child, so. Also, the fact that I even talk about abuse when abuse is considered discipline and is uplifted, especially in the South and when it comes to melanated people, if you're not strangling your kids and stuff, you're not a parent, which that goes back to slave trade gospel and even child sacrifice and different things that Triage Terrell got put into judgment for, to be honest, that everybody still uplifts and wonders why nothing changes and everybody's still in the same horrible predicament with their communities. A lot of other places, even not in the South, but like, for example, like on the West Coast, everybody doesn't necessarily believe in the whole beating your kids up, but it's like just still so much weird stuff and so much false doctrine. It's like a lot of weird sexual stuff and a lot of other bad things, even when people aren't beating on their kids and stuff. Honestly. And you know, emotional abuse and sexual abuse is still worse. It's like you really rather get strangled and beat up than have a lot of other stuff happen. But it still shouldn't happen, but like it's considered quote unquote sparing the ride when you're like a sadomasochist and you're butt naked and your kid's naked and you're like strangling them in the shower and hitting them on the butt and stuff and this weird stuff and having kids bend over, all this weird stuff that people say comes from slavery. I mean, part of it does, but like I said, True Yasharel was winning a punishment for child sacrifice. And as far as Caucasian Europeans, I mean, we already know they were in all that pederasty, chomo, weird stuff, Virgo vasal sodomy rituals with the slaves and their own kids. Christopher Columbus trafficked European kids and Native and Aboriginal kids and all of that. Everybody should already know all of that. And it's like, now that's like the standard in religious organizations. And as I always talk about, it's really interesting because people who work in deliverance ministries already know the number one reason for demonization in the Western world is abuse. It is child abuse. It is trauma. People are demonized and quote unquote mentally ill and have all these issues because they've been through the abuse rituals, which are normalized by religion. In other countries, not that there isn't abuse obviously, but in other countries, some of the common reasons for demonization is just being in false religions and different stuff like that. Not that Americans are quote-unquote Christian nation. Not that I like that label, but it's like, more so I'll say Americans don't believe the Bible. They don't believe in the supernatural, which, I mean, that's kind of the foundation, because the foundation is the occult, but also the white supremacist philosophy of atheism, and also the European Christendom Gentile hijackings that hate the Old Testament, all at the same time. That's America's foundation. So Americans are hypocritical is my point. They don't really believe the Bible. And people want to come here and argue about a whole bunch of random stuff. How about we talk about people coming together and helping each other? Screw all that other mess. Screw Caesar Borgia. Forget all that. And as far as Caucasian dudes coming to the channel trying to get me to bow down to weird stuff, which, funny enough, I thought that one dude that I can't remember his channel name, but it seems like he's a rage bait bot though. That's what it seemed like more so. But it also seems like he's Russian as well, which is interesting, which they're going to conquer the U.S. along with China, but it's just really interesting. But anywho, specifically to the white supremacist dudes that want to come here and try to get me to bow down to weird ideologies and philosophies, I'm going to tell you what my dad said in those movie clips, those bullcrap movie clips, which I forgot to make the part 2 to explain all that. I can't accept this. I can't. And I will not. I will not accept this. I will not accept the philosophies.